Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the iSpring Solutions webinar series, where every week we talk about e-learning trends, share iSpring tips and tricks, and cover clients' cases. My name is Paulina. I'm the community manager at iSpring, and I will be the moderator for today's webinar, where we will be talking about how to grab design ideas and inspiration from everyday things. And as a presenter, I have invited Dawn Mahoney. Hi, Dawn. How are you doing today?
I'm well, thanks. And you?
I'm wonderful. Dawn is a talent development professional, and hopefully by the end of this webinar, you will get inspired to think outside of the box a little bit more. And at this point, I also have great news for everyone who will not be able to sit through the whole session. It's been recorded by guys. I would like to encourage you to stay till the very end because it's a great opportunity to address your questions directly to our presenter. And to do so, please submit them in the question box, which you will find on the right side of the GoToWebinar panel. And at this point, we are ready to begin. So Don, let me pass the mic over to you.
All right, thank you. I'm picking it up. I'm so thrilled to be asked to do this with you, Paulina. I hope we get another chance another time. I think I owe you a few after all the interviews you and I did together. And welcome everybody to the webinar. I am going to go screaming through lots of visual examples. Very few slides have words on them even. And my goal for you and for this session is to spark your interest in developing your own style and start curating and gathering ideas every single day. You're going to Pinterest and you have a special board posted there where you can curate and gather ideas, or you use Evernote and link to websites you like and capture notes. I use a Google tool that all of a sudden I can't say the name of at the moment, but somewhere where you're capturing when you see something you like, that you're curating your own set of cool ideas. And everything I'm using on this set of information today is PowerPoint with additions of purchased images, images from the iSpring content library, and my own photos. I think that's pretty much everything. And I've indicated those on the slides and further in the resources area of the handout. So without further ado, I'm gonna go forward. I hope you're ready. We're gonna go fast. In the meantime, do type your questions in. Paulina's gonna be monitoring the list of questions, and Paulina, feel free to interrupt me if there's a big old thought bubble and set of questions out there that I should address before the end. That'll be just fine. So we're going to crawl out of the box. As Paulina said, we're climbing. We're almost there. We're going to go, and we're going to go fast with ideas. I believe, and in my content development and designer's heart, that there is inspiration literally everywhere if you're willing to look for it. But I first want to do just a little bit of talking about our learners. And so that's the first poll, Paulina. And while she's setting that up, I'll just give you a reminder that if you haven't done some sort of polling internally and visual and verbal scanning through focus groups, etc., with your people that consume your learning, then it's past time to do that. Things change, diversity and all of that changes, and we need to be paying attention to who our learners are, what their level of technical expertise is, where they're most comfortable. Have we asked them lately if our courses are working from a technology standpoint? Are the visuals working? We need to know what they like in order to do a better job for them. And if we're still using the same stock images that we've been using for the last 3, 4, 5+ years, it's time to change that up. The world has changed.
So let me share the results really quickly so that everyone can see. All right, so I'm going to hide them right now and pass the mic back to Dawn.
All right, it's back with me. So a word about our learners in continuation with what I just said. When I say the world has changed, this is a little bit of a snarkyism, but our learners think about themselves first, and so it really is all about them, and it's a reminder that we need to be developing content with them in mind, not just the list of stuff that come from the subject matter expert or the key stakeholder, the leader of the organization. We really need to think about the learners. Do they really actually need this in the form that the request has been provided? We need to, in true adult learning theory, we need to make the learning and the need for the learning obvious and memorable, and we need to do that right up front and make that abundantly clear. Otherwise, they're looking at their watch, they're multitasking, they're on their cell phones, etc. So make it memorable, make it interactive, make it be something they want to actually participate with. Also, we can't make assumptions. We may have people who surprise you that are gamers, online gamers, or they play football or some other Xbox game that you just didn't have any idea about. So that's building technical expertise and competence, but also they're used to high-end graphics. They're in movement and sound and avatars and so forth. So we need to be thinking about, we have people in our group that are like this woman. Likewise, these young folks, doesn't that sound like such an old lady thing to say? Because I am. But we need to remember who's coming behind the people that are sitting in our offices now. These kids, they start building things with PowerPoint and more robust tools than that from kindergarten on. They're exposed to devices and computers from before they go to school and on. So we can no longer think about sitting them behind a computer with a next and previous button or a next and back button. We need to be thinking about how they'll interact. So as much as we have a full plate of stuff we need to do today, we also need to be looking to the future and what our future employees are going to need. We consume content every day, all the time. How many times a day do you Google something? And Google is not even, it's just the name of a search engine. It's what we do. It's an action. And that became, with the advent of tablets and better and robust devices that are surgically implanted into our hands, but also social media made this a truism. So be thinking about how you can develop and design content with the look and feel and how you interact with the way you do with social media. We love things like Yelp and Open Table and TripAdvisor. We love to interact. Like buttons are here to stay. They're not going away. Often we want a like button and an unlike button. So while you may or may not offer that option in your e-learning courses or any other courses, know that people are paying attention to that and they're wishing for something like a like button. We like to contribute and we like to curate. We like to click the stars and give a rating. We like to crowdsource, we like to collaborate, we like to provide reviews, and we like to garner consensus. Not a day goes by that I'm not seeing a request from someone in my Facebook stream asking for advice or suggestions for something. So knowing that we're a contribution and curation world now, in a set of people, how can we leverage that consensus, that crowdsourcing, etc. Curation is a big deal, and it's getting bigger. Some more of what we like. This guy, he's taking a selfie. Our learners are taking selfies, probably most every day of the week in some fashion. We love large pictures. We will probably never stop loving large pictures. So let's think about the art of the possible here. If the majority of our people have access to tools, why are we not considering learner-generated content where they're taking photos using their cell phones? They don't need much more than that. They're high-def cameras. Most of them, unless they're a few years old, have 1080p images, so they're readily available out of the gate. Learner-generated content for onboarding or introductory content is the best way to go. You're going to find out what your learners need and want just from the standpoint of them building modules. Back in the day, I'm an old trainer at heart. I used to have people write their closing of the class review questions and answers. I give them time to rewrite those. And it was always eye-opening what they had picked up correctly or incorrectly throughout the class when I would have them run through their questions and answers and share them with their peers in the class. So how can we leverage the collective wisdom of the people in the room, whether it's a digital room or a face-to-face room? But cell phones and tablets aren't going away. As much as you can have rules, some places still have rules where you can't have your cell phone at work. Let's think of ways to use them in a positive manner and make, again, the art of the possible. Big pictures. And this is the first of a few times today in this session that I will say, use your own photos. Take your own photos. Craft your own scenarios, etc., using real photos from your organization. They mean more. Whether or not you have rules against photographing employees, notwithstanding, photos of your real equipment, photos of your environments, photos of the buttons that people push and so forth, have a lot, they do a lot more to influence your learners and adoption of the content when you've put them in their real environment. These are memes. Memes can teach. This could be a follow-up to completion of a course by just sending them a meme with a particular photo and some sort of memory jogger. Maybe you do a series of them across time. Or it could be the splash screen of your course. Memes are easy to make. They're photo, they're text. We get a quick point across, and that is that. I love them for onboarding. And while we're here to talk about e-learning tools and so forth, I'll just remind you, not everything is a course. So, be thinking about how you can use things like this. GIFs to demo a process. Hopefully this will work when I click it. This is a GIF of a zipper. It's free and available on Wikipedia. But think about how you could make sure to show the right way of doing a procedure by building a GIF using information you have available. You can probably build it in one of several tools, or take a video and make it a video GIF. This just happens to be an illustrated GIF. How is less important to this conversation than why not try it? That's a smooth movement of a zipper, but it could just as easily be the smooth flow of water, or it could be the gears on a machine working and so forth. So be thinking about how you might incorporate something like GIFs. TV and movies. Can we even just imagine how our life was before we had streaming capability? In one of many, these are 3 of the various streaming services, and goodness, I don't know how many there are worldwide and even in the US anymore. In addition to these 3, there's Roku, there's several others. And they spoil us because we can watch things on our tablets, we can watch them on our computer, we can use some sort of additional device added to our television so we can stream from our computer to our television so that we have the bigger screen possibility. And it's all there on demand for us to use through the click of a button. Whether we're talking Netflix or Hulu, or I'm a member of Amazon Prime, and I watch a lot of movies and television shows that way. I very seldom sit down on Tuesday night and watch the TV at the scheduled time. I'm using my cable network's on-demand feature to watch TV these days, or I'm buying the series after it's done. And while this is not a session about watching TV or movies, we want to binge all the content at once or in large chunks. We're willing to invest the time to sit down and watch several programs at once to get through. So be thinking about how you scaffold and cascade the learning out to your learners. You may think that it's better for them to hold on to the cascading of the subsequent courses when really the learners are looking at their calendars and have the time and capacity to take the class or course now, and maybe they want to speed ahead. We all learn at different rates of speed, and so that matters. And what we also love about these streaming services is the fact that they use things like cards. I guess I don't have anything open, but in the images, we select easily from a visual menu that gives us also a description, a brief description, 1 sentence, 2 sentences at the most, but we can preview strictly from those cards. And I have some examples built, kind of what I'm talking about going forward. So let's think about giving teasers and building our menus, selection menus in card format, like people are used to consuming content these days. This is a photo through it in the background there. That's an actual photo from a site that I did a project on. So I had several photos, and I thought, well, that makes a great backdrop to a road safety course. And instead of just using that standard opening slide, I thought, maybe what if I did this? It gives it a little bit more mystery and intrigue. And I got the idea from the television program Scandal, some of you may know of, from a few years ago. But this is my actual photo that I took, so I can use it. And this is a PowerPoint image. You can fill the letters with pictures just the way you can fill them with colors. And let's pretend that this van has a logo on the side. Maybe it's a delivery van. Maybe it's a passenger van. And you could have your own employee be the avatar and the person training and acting in that capacity, something you do today. This woman comes from the content library from iSpring. Sometimes it's better to use static figures like this in the various forms they come in, because you don't have to worry about or think about if the associate leaves or they change their hair or so forth, which doesn't really matter too much in the grander scheme. But the biggest thing is we're using real equipment, your company logo here and so forth, and you're taking the photos again right inside. But you can build a story this way using your equipment. I just made this be another safety training, could be just about anything. How about this one? Workplace safety. Who are these guys and women? I don't know, but I kind of want to know. Intriguing background, they're in silhouette, they're standing like superheroes, or maybe each of these people are going to travel through the safety course with me. Some of them might be having workplace accidents, and we're going to learn about how to deal with them. I don't know yet, but I think that this opening screen makes something that annual compliance thing that most of us have to do a little bit more compelling and a little bit more interesting. So back to our learners, make it compelling and make it memorable. And this is a good time to insert that what marketing is doing, whether you're looking at TV or listening to podcasts, etc. The things that marketing does to grab our attention and keep our attention is worth paying attention to. Right down to the colors they use, the product placement, the way they even use their logo. They have, I think of something like cleaning liquid from Mr. Clean, he's been around a while. His caricature image has morphed and changed to stay with the times, but they have a friendly but trustworthy sort of guy that represents cleaning fluid, Mr. Clean, and he's approachable. The Michelin Tire Company, they're selling tires. But they don't talk about selling tires in their TV ads, and you can go on YouTube and see some of their ads. They have this friendly guy he looks kind of squishy and cuddly, and he's really made out of tires, and he's the Michelin Man. And they the spin that they give on their advertising and their marketing is, we're selling safety, we're selling trust. We want your trust, and we want you to know that our product will be reliable. So spend some time looking at advertising and marketing plans, because they're grabbing our attention and keeping it, and we remain loyal to them from the time they grab us, pretty much for years and years to come. Annual safety training, annual compliance training. I worked in healthcare for a long time, and you always have to do annual compliance training. So I came up with the idea of a mystery theater. I don't know what the course is going to unfold like. This is just the splash screen, but you get the idea. Let's make it compelling and interesting for our learners. Or how about those of you that have ever watched a movie on Lifetime TV, it kind of has this look and feel to it. They do a lot with clouds and open sky. And while that's not my preferred television genre, a lot can be learned about how they develop characters. They make them sympathetic. They make them, there's usually a villain. And looking at this, we're not sure which of them is the villain yet. There's usually a happy ending at the end, and so forth. So it might be a great format to try. I said at the beginning that I think you need to curate websites and pay special attention to web design, and how, and if I'm going to legislate how you do it, that you spend even extra time looking at how it looks on your computer, on your phone, and on your tablet. So you get a feel for how the interactivity is better or not so good, and what makes it compelling in each setting, because we notice different things. That's how how we design these days. So do spend time with websites. And here comes the second poll.
So we know that Dawn has all different kinds of places to look for inspiration besides websites.
I spend far too much time thinking about these things.
Right, but it's good you have collected some awesome tips.
Oh, thank you. I shared a few of them on the handout, and you know, back to the big picture conversation, Instagram, we're all kind of addicted to Instagram, or most of us, just for the picture aspect alone. And Pinterest, I can spend hours on Pinterest. So
Oh, yes.
how's the poll looking?
So, okay, so I will close it right now
Okay.
and share the results. And also, we have a couple of comments. For example, Laura says, I prefer to look on the real environment. Patty says, I'm looking everywhere, TV, ads, websites, Pinterest, etc. Yvette says, I look at book covers. Interesting.
Oh, good idea. Hadn't thought about that one. Excellent. I may borrow that for the next time I do this presentation.
Exactly. Also, Dennis says YouTube videos.
Oh yeah, you can't spend enough time out there. You just have to make sure you plan enough time, because you never only watch one.
All right, so I think we can keep going now and
Okay.
then discuss whatever comes up during Q&A.
Sure. So back to the comment about the real environment, I'd love to know just a little bit more if you want to type that into the chat, and I'll take a look at that when I have access to it, and love to know more. Probably you're echoing what I was saying about the van and so forth, but I just want to be clear. All right, so speaking of websites, I have a few linked here. This is my friend Tom and his company, Synopsis Creative, in Australia, and then they have an office in San Francisco now too. And what I need to say about this, besides it's a wildly creative site, is pretty much everything you're looking at here has been created in PowerPoint, because they do other things, but the majority of their work is in PowerPoint, because when they create it, they're handing the files to the client to be able to do their own edits. Isn't this cool? I don't know how to build this effect. I plan to ask him. But the colors are interesting. The movement, he is big on talking about movement. It's clear, it's concise. Of course, they're showing a variety of different styles because that's what they do. But look at how they add just a little bit of action and it adds interest. I like this one. You can go back and forth and the shapes change. And they have a blog, so Synapsis Creative. I hope you'll take a look. I guess I already had it open. I like moo.com is a place to order printing, and for their pricing, they have high-end printing. But what I like to do is look at how their website is laid out, what's new, what's different, what's changed. Also, when you change the country that of the account you're looking at, what they show and display is slightly different because culturally people want different things. But I get a lot of inspiration just from the way this page is laid out. We have a big photo. It could be a right to left scrolling of images too. We have a selection menu. We can also make the primary selections right from here. They're using icons to reinforce these selection items that are different than this menu. And then they have a card set up with a brief, with a photo, with a link. The whole thing is a link. And again, a brief set of what you'll find there in, mystery and intrigue text, like I talked about with Netflix and Amazon Prime and so forth. So this layout for a selection menu, the nice thing about this, in addition to it being highly visual and current, is large cards in selection menus make our content more accessible for people that are using screen readers and people that are using some other types of adaptive equipment. It's a lot easier to click on a big button than it is just a small set of text in a link. So this is moo.com. I'm pretty sure that's on the list of who I gave you, of some resources I gave you. Another site I really like is Dot and Bow. Here they're using the right to left scrolling, and there's features here. But think about your class. You could introduce your course here and the Let's Get Started button there. Laid out a lot like the moo.com, where you have style selection in a menu here. Also, I can burrow down to more specific information below. Haven't gotten to gifts yet, but I came across this one yesterday. Someone has taken this poster that I think has been around for quite a number of years, but they've made it interactive by having the butterflies move. And I think it just makes it more interesting. If I were going to build this as a learning asset, I would probably make each of these static until I hovered over them or something, or that it generated a call out. But it's a whole lot more interesting to look at the butterflies in movement instead of being dead butterflies on a page. What else do I have? This company, 53, it used to be called Paper 53. Now it's called 53 Pencil because they're going through a merger acquisition. But I've said previously that our tablets are a place for inspiration. Paper 53 is an app you can put on your tablet, and you can draw with it. You can take notes with it. But also, they just have some really interesting effects and things that they provide on their website is always different. And when you put the app on your phone or on your tablet, there's a whole lot of inspiration out there right there for you to see. But here's mind mapping, just done on a tablet. These are photos, little quick drawing with a thicker tip using their pencil or your fingertip, drawing, images and drawing. You can annotate. There's so much creativity out there. It's really worth taking a look at. We love inspiration. What else do I have out there? Behance is kind of a creativity movement, for lack of better language. It's a curated gallery. You can belong and you can upload your cool stuff. But I like to go out here and just get inspired by what people have posted. I'm not signed in, so I won't be able to see all of it. But again, it's cards oriented. There's photos, there's collages, there's those book covers right here. If you don't know about Behance, get creative and put on your creative thinking hat, because that's the work we do. We're not just building courses with tools. We're asked to be creative. We're tasked with being creative. What else? That's pretty much it. I guess just this one, 99U, is it's a curation site that Adobe has put together, and there's a lot out here, but this site changes all the time. This is summer right now, kind of funny. And it's a blog site, it's a creativity site, it's more. So do spend some time taking a look at 99U. I don't think I put that on the list. I thought of it last night. There are gazillions of websites for you to look at and spend time with to get inspiration. There's a whole genre of presentation sites and presentation templates that you can borrow from. One of the best things to do is search for award-winning websites. You'll find a couple organizations that give awards for websites. They have really fabulous things out there. Then, keeping with the theme of building some quick samples, none of these samples took me longer than 10 minutes to build, just to show you that it's possible. So again, cards oriented. We like when we have our unique user info kind of showing up, and we can pick our own avatar or upload our own photo. So you can be thinking about whether that appears up here in the upper right corner, or if it's an element here, depends on your content. But we have a selection menu, we have a selection menu. These various items, again, filled the shapes with photos. They might also be click links that we can use to navigate to get where we want to go. So let's be thinking about how we can rework our selection menus. Here's another one, kind of took it from how the Amazon page works. These might be the categories for the content. There could be a button here about the beverages. This could be about the food. This could be a nutrition class, or this is food budget. Learning how much this costs, etc. Making selections. One more poll, Paulina.
Yeah, if you have any questions about iSpring Content Library, I'll be happy to answer them if you, for some reason, have not heard about it. But basically, Content Library is the library of e-learning assets like characters, templates, icons, etc. And I think we have over 50,000 plus of them, and it's constantly being updated with adding new characters to it on your request, guys. So if you haven't checked it out yet, Dawn and I would very much recommend you do that.
I do. I'm going to show you an example of that in a minute. So perfect. That was perfect timing. How's the
All
poll
right.
coming?
So yeah, let me close it because it looks like almost everybody has voted. All right, so I will close it and share the results with everyone so that we can see that 76% prefer PowerPoint. And actually, I guess these are not very accurate percentage because you could have chosen any
More than
of
one.
these options. Yep. But we can see that PowerPoint is still the go-to place, I guess.
PowerPoint wins. So yay.
So I will hide.
That's my go-to.
Yeah. All right. So the mic is back to you, Dawn.
All right, thank you. So along those lines, and perfect segue, so building your own visual stories. I have a few examples, and I'd love for you to type into the chat how you've used PowerPoint to do what you need to do. It's always good to learn from each other. These hand-drawn characters, I happen to have purchased a set of them from creativemarket.com, but you can draw these. You can draw them on your tablet. You can draw them if you're Illustrator capable. You can use PowerPoint shapes, and then using the tool where you can edit the shapes, you can change the face. Doesn't have to be so super round. You can give it a hand-drawn feel. These are just individual shapes and colors. But the reason I'm showing this, in addition to the hand-drawn, and it's basically all the same thing with different expressions and coloring, is that you can color theme things, but with a minimum of effort. None of these took very long to do. And sometimes it's good to approach complex and maybe difficult content with a hand-drawn feel to make it more approachable. Back to my mentioning the Michelin Man and Mr. Clean. There's some YouTube videos I watched one day that were all about a company that sells retirement planning and financial stuff. And of course, they're all very people-centric, and people are friendly and so forth. It's a pretty complex set of circumstances, but they approach it from, these are just nice people with senses of humor. So think about using images like this to talk about sensitive or against content, dense complexity with an avatar that has an approachable feel. And I just love this. This, again, image was purchased, but you could take pictures of your own fingers and do this. You can draw on the screen. In the background could be an office scene. It could be an interior of people at work. It could be PowerPoint shapes made into an office scene or an outdoor environment. Doesn't matter. I once saw a safety video for a company where safety would be of premier importance. And this guy, I know his name is Dan, he used pencil puppets throughout the entire thing. So he had cartoon-like, avatar-like images cut out and pasted onto pencils, and they were the pencil puppets in the various scenes and so forth, getting the safety message across. So what we do is serious, but we don't always have to take ourselves seriously either. Plus, there's a whole lot of humor here. This background is literally all PowerPoint shapes. I spent, I think, something like 8 to 10 minutes, no more, on this. And then I put a photoreal image in front. And I could have just as easily built a person avatar in this too, but I wanted the ability to show the juxtaposition, and that with the right content, the right narration, the right, you can blend the two. It'll work. Again, all PowerPoint shapes, and I didn't morph and change anything. And if I was using this for real and hadn't built it just for today, my shapes would probably all have some sort of gradation and shadowing and so forth. But flat works too. Flat works really well on tablets and phones, so it can work this way as well. And here's another one. All PowerPoint shapes again. This one took me about 5 minutes, and you can tell. But the point is not, in this instance, is probably not how fabulous this look is. It's the interaction that's going to happen between the characters and so forth. And I realize with the content library and your iSpring setup and so forth, you're doing this, but I just want to remind people that maybe we can add more action, maybe we can add more dialogue, maybe we can add video components to these rather simplified setups. But again, what we're talking about and what we're doing is serious, but it doesn't all have to have a serious look and feel to it. This is my own photo, again, back to reminding you to take pictures and use your photos. It seemed appropriate to have this opening of a course say, let's dive in, instead of click start. So, you know, sense of humor works. Your photo of something here with a, you know, an easily selection menu at the top, it works. Let's say just a little bit more about rethinking selection menus and navigational aids. Um, Sometimes these people can tell the story for us. Just go ahead and put a company location image or your big logo and something, and then have avatars tell the story for us. This might be introducing a topic. In this case, you'll see on the next slide that it might be the diversity and inclusion training, but let's just say it's something else. Each one of these word bubbles could be a selection, could have words in it, and be a point and click option navigational menu, or maybe their names underneath attached with the people could be the links. I got these on Creative Market, but this could be done in PowerPoint really, really easily. So then I showed the whole group to introduce the topic. Then I broke the group apart because we have a part 1 and part 2 of the course. And then our narrator is still here guiding us to make our selections and so forth. It's colorful, it's high contrast, it's approachable again, doesn't take very long to put together, and it has impact. Someone mentioned in the comments a minute ago about book covers. I look at them in airports all the time, and I cannot, as much as I'll talk about marketing and advertising, magazines are your lifeline, I think. And as much print as is going away in lieu of digital, I think that glossy magazines are going to be here for a while. So I buy some of I buy them literally if I like the color, the cover, because I know that the information to affiliated stories inside is going to be just as great. So this might be an opening screen for a course, or it could be something on SharePoint or whatever your internal tool is. But I just made this one be about the CEO is talking about making a difference, so I can link to the story here. This company is moving their office, so the feature is who moved the office furniture, and then maybe there's a set of photos, and all the employees and have been waiting to see what the new office looks like. So this is a way to introduce the idea. You can put it into your e-learning suite and communicate with your folks that way. Print, I love it. When I fly, I usually fly Delta. They have a magazine called the Sky Magazine. And from the cover on in, I'm ripping pages or taking the whole magazine because they're free and they tell you to take them. The way they lay out their menus and lay out their stories, I'm always making notes on pages out of the Sky Magazine. And by the way, this is one of the characters from the iSpring content library. These are all purchased images, but think about how these could be navigational links. Again, we've got the peek into the story, but then I just went with the circles instead of squares, circles that were easy to grab. And they can also be linking to the story. This can be the label and so forth. So we're not locked into text, 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 text all the time. Just a quick reminder about that. And that was my last slide. Actually, I had one less than I thought. So I'm ready for your questions, if there are any, or comments on how you've been using PowerPoint. I'd love to hear more about that. I'll say that I'm honored to be here to help you. All my contact info, if you need some assistance, has been available. But also, here's where I'll be speaking this fall. So if you're going to be near any of those, you can join us.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for this presentation, Dawn. And I
Sure.
hope by the end of this webinar, you guys get an idea where to look for inspiration, and some of the tips shared will be useful to you. You'll be able to use it right away. All right. Well, actually, I have been answering to some of the questions coming during your session. So at this point, we have all of them covered. And I think we are ready to wrap up. I would like to thank you, Dawn, for doing this webinar for our attendees just one more time. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much. I'll do it again sometime.
Awesome. And I would like to thank you guys for coming and tuning in to our webinar today. Thanks a lot. And we'll see you at the next webinar. Thanks to everyone. See you at the next session. Bye, guys. Bye, Dawn. Have a
Bye
great day.
bye. Bye bye.